you've talked about it recently, your seizure story.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've probably talked about it on stream recently, but for the people that haven't seen it, can you give some background on what that is? Because to my understanding, you could have easily been dead if you didn't, if certain things didn't happen, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And I think about it a lot too, because I would normally have been like at that point when I had the seizure, I was in my bed all day, blinds all the way down, in my room, not talking to no one, not on the phone, just like all I wanted to do was sleep. All I wanted to do was sleep, bro, and just like wake up when it was better. So I was like taking it every single day. And I remember it was like January 1st, and I realized I'm like, bro, this is bad. Like
Like
I wasn't
what? What were
I
you
wasn't I
taking?
wasn't talking to no one about it either. I was taking drugs. I was on drugs. I was taking pills. You know what I mean? Every single day. Like I don't know. Like in my head, how I can even justify it, other than like I was just so bored and so miserable and had nothing to do, and also no one to like turn to or look at me and be like, yo, this is not how you're supposed to deal with it like this. There's other ways
Yeah.
to go forward. And so I was taking pills every single day. And I remember I realized like it was bad, like on the new year, January 1st. We had been in the crib for like a week or two at the point. I'm like, bro, I gotta stop this. This is bad. Like, this is bad. So I try to stop. And I remember it was like the second or third day of January, and I couldn't do it. Like the withdrawals were crazy. Like my head was pounding. I felt sick. I'm like, nah, I can't do this. So I started taking pills again. And like I said, every day was just me in my room, like, and I was getting high, just watching on the TV, mindless. Like I don't even remember. I was just doze off, fall asleep, wake up. I'm awake. Okay, I'm trying to go back to sleep. Boom, boom, boom. Back to bed. Blinds down all the time. It's like blackout dark in my room. And then this one day, I ordered food. I ordered Shake Shack, and I went down the stairs to grab it. And my room was its own floor, right? You've been in the crib.
Yeah.
It was its own floor, completely separated from everyone else in the crib. So I had to walk down the stairs to the garage to meet the Postmate, grab the Shake Shack, and then I went back in the stairwell to go up to my room. But I heard Nikon and Clark playing 2K, or like I just heard them in the theater. And I was like, you know what? I can't remember the last time I left my room or like went and saw any of the guys or anything like that. I'm like, all right, let me eat. I'm just gonna eat this in the theater and then go up to my room. So I like went in the theater to eat my meal, and that's the last thing I remember. Don't remember having a seizure or like passing out. The only thing I remember is like sitting down and like putting my Shake Shack on the ground and like looking up, seeing they're playing 2K, going to eat it. And then it's like a not jump cut, like hard cut. I'm in the back of an ambulance, like in the back of an ambulance, like you know how like in the movie, like the black bars fade in and like it's like ringing in your ears and your vision's like blurry. That's what it was. And I was like coming to my senses, trying to figure out what's happening. And like there's like a ET or like a medic or someone next to me, like saying something. And I look to my left, and it's you could bleep his name out, but it's
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's him.
It's crazy.
It's him right there. I'm not even kidding. And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's like, don't worry, man. Like, you're gonna be okay. Like, we got you. And then like I kind of doze back off. Wake up at the hospital. And I had a seizure for sure. I had a seizure, which is like really, really crazy to think about and really scary. I never had one in my life. And I don't know if it's because of like if I took too much or if it was what I took or what it was about it. But I think like the craziest thing about that situation when I look back on it is 9 times out of 10, I would have been by myself in my bedroom, my bedroom that's completely isolated from the rest of the crib. And I would have had a seizure, not around anyone. No one would have known. And that's like a lot of times how people die. Like people have died like that in the past. And people have died like that even with people around them, like because they've had seizures, like drug-induced seizures or whatever it is. And I don't know, like thank God, by the grace of God, I was not by myself. Nikon was there. And I remember him telling me he like held my head up or something. And then like they called an ambulance and they got there quick enough. I was okay, thank God. But that's like the craziest thing when I look back on it. Is like I really could have been in my room by myself at that time, and I don't know what would have happened if that was the case.
Thank God you decided to go to the theater. That's insane. I think your point that you kind of glossed over though, like waking up in the ambulance and the guy that basically, in some ways, led you to that is sitting there.
Bro.
And I know it gets worse because I remember hearing about, and I couldn't believe it because I remember driving and by where my family lives and hearing that they were saying that you overdosed or whatever. That's what the guy was saying, right? Is that you overdosed, whatever. And then I just remember hearing something about his wife driving your car.
Yeah. So that's not even the worst. Yeah. So yeah, I like had that whole thing happen, had a seizure, went to the hospital, and then he was there and he was like, listen, you don't have a choice. You're going into this like rehab center or something like that. I don't remember what it was. Some sort of like hospital clinic. Like he's like, I'm putting you in here, and if you don't go in here, you're going home to Arizona. I'm pulling the plug on all this, on the crib, everything. I'm like, bro, like what? I can't even get a word off. He's like screaming at me. Like I finally, by the way, my head is aching. My head is pounding. Like I don't know if I hit my head or what's going on. I just remember my head pounding at the time. And he's like, yeah, we're first thing in the morning. We're taking you to this place and we're checking you in. We're not taking you. You're not coming home until they check you out. And if you got a problem with that, like you could go back to Arizona and I'm pulling the plug on the FaZe house, pulling the lease. Everyone goes home. I'm like, damn, I don't even have a choice. And also at the same time, you're not even gonna ask me like, what's up, like what's wrong, like why, like why did this happen? You're not even gonna try to like talk to me on like a human level and be like, yo, are you okay? Like, are you good? Like, what happened? Like, what led to this point? Could I help you? And none of that. It was like, no. It was like, oh, you buy it, like, and you need to go in here and fix this, or you're done. And so that's what I did. I went into that like hospital or whatever, and I was in there so dark for like a week or something. I don't know. I had no phone, no like access to the internet. I was in there with like real junkies and people going through it. I remember I shared a room. Like I was in a room. Like I don't have a lot of memories from it. I don't know if I just like deleted them from my brain, but like I was like in a room together like this, and there was a guy who was in the room with me, but there was a curtain separating us, and he was like connected to some machine, and he was breathing mad loud, and me and him would sleep like in that room together, and it was just so like daunting, like the sound of the machine and like hearing him, and then every now and then like a nurse would like come in with like a cup, and it's like here, and then they would leave, and then
What's
I'm just
in
like
the cup?
just like pills or something, like a cup with pills that like are supposed to help you
Wean off of?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was in there for like 6-7 days. My dad had visited me. Nikon had visited me. My cameraman, Jeff, at the time came and visited me. So I saw them and talked to them, and that was like the little bit of like actual human interaction I had. But other than that, I was like pretty quiet and like didn't really talk to anyone. I was just like, again, like I would just lay in the bed in that room and just like sleep, just try to sleep until I got out. And then I got out. And I got out, and this fool crashed my car. This fool took my car while I was in the hospital and crashed it, the CEO of FaceTime. He took the car and crashed
I'm laughing because how ridiculous that is. After all of the story you just said and him yelling at you and him being the reason, basically. One of the only things he asked, did he even ask you to borrow it, or did he
No,
just tell
he
you?
didn't ask
He
me to
just
borrow
took
it.
the keys.
Bro, he told Nikon, he lied to Nikon. He was like, Nikon, I talked to Adapt. He said I could use his car while he's in the hospital. A hospital, by the way, he threw me in. And the only reason I'm in there is because of a decision that he made that sent, you know what I mean? I'm not going to start like getting all that.
No, but we heard the story. It's him.
But anyways.
Obviously, like, anyways, go ahead.
I get out of the hospital. I'm coming up to the crib. I open the garage. I see my Range Rover. The whole side of the Range Rover scratched. I'm like, wait a second. This is what I go in the crib. I'm like, Nikon. I'm screaming at Nikon. I'm mad at Nikon. Are you seriously? Did you take my car while I was in the hospital and crash it? He's like, bro, what? He's like, Nikon. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I would not do that. He's like, you said he could drive it. I'm like, you gave the car. I go out to the car. There's a baby seat. There's a car seat, like for a child in the back seat for his kid. He gave the car. He didn't take the car for himself. He gave my car to his wife, so his wife could go run errands with the kid in the back seat, and his crashed it. Bro.
What is just this is just one of the moments with him where it's like you realize that he is the number one fraud that you will ever meet. Because like this guy acted like he would constantly say stuff like, I never have to work again in my life. I just love doing this and that and this and that. And like, dude, I remember, I mean, it's not as bad as this story. It's random, but I remember our Counter-Strike team. Imagine me. I'm 21 years old, going to a Counter-Strike event. All the Counter-Strike pros are way older than us. I already feel like a little kid talking to them. And they're like, this guy's taking them out to team dinners and making them split the bill with him. Which maybe people that may not sound like a big deal, but this guy's talking to everyone about how rich he is. Then he tells the players of his team, that's not what you do. Typically, you pay for the bill. He makes them split the bill. Like, there's just all these random fraud check. Like that, his car, like, could he not afford a car? He had to take yours and crash it. You can rent a car.
Bro, are you serious? I look back, I'm thinking about it now, and I remember I called him and I asked him about it. And I somehow got gaslit into believing that he didn't do it.
Bro, he was
There was a car seat in the back seat of my car.
He was a master manipulator.
I forget. I just let it go. I was like, oh, he said he didn't do it.
Bro, I'm telling you, Stockholm syndrome.
Bro, I'm like, oh, he said he didn't do it, y'all. Like, so I don't know. I guess.
Fast forward, but like from what I heard, I don't know if it's true. So this is not on record but what I was told was the way this guy got outed out of FaZe at the end of it all was he was funneling money and had his brother and his wife, the same one that crashed your car, on like salary or something. Dude,
Bro.
What a crazy... That guy is like... that's just a blur.
When I really thought he was a real deal, full screen. Remember we were with full screen?
Yeah. He made me lose so much money, by the way. Oh my God, go ahead.
So full screen was our YouTube partner network at the time. And I got offered my new contract.
A signing bonus, right?
New contract, and it was a signing bonus on it. And I ran it by someone like, what do you think about this? He looks at it. He's like, I could get that signing bonus tripled.
Okay.
I'm like,
did you ever get it?
I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. 5 minutes later, full screen sends me a contract. The signing bonus just tripled. I'm like, oh my God, he's legit. Like,
yeah.
And like I had already heard stories from Banks and Tommy and you and everyone.
Not
like,
me. I have a reverse story with that. But go ahead.
Like everyone's like, yeah, like he showed me this, he showed me that. I'm like, wow, I'm seeing it. So like I think that moment in particular really like I remember like thinking like, damn, okay, so this like
no, that's the thing. Like we had no experience with anybody like that. So anyone even just talking with the level of confidence he was talking would be like, okay. Yeah. I had the same thing. He wanted to bump my signing bonus from full screen. He never got it bumped. I waited for a year and then I missed out on the signing bonus. And it was a good amount of money. And I still think about it to this day because I'm just like, dude, it was
whatever he used was
free money. Yeah, man.
He must have been after you.
I guess he didn't like me. I mean,
he
weird.
Stole all our
no, that guy's a weird
scumbag.
That guy's a weird man. Weird little man. He was a little man.
He was a little fat man. He was a little fat man.
He always, every time we'd see him, he'd talk about.
He was actually fat.
Every time I saw him, he'd talk about
visualizing him. He was chubby.
He used to talk about how he's in the gym.
He's in the gym.
Very interesting character. I think we can make an evil villain movie out.
Bro,
we really could.
Does that not sound like a villain story? Like that's like a villain origin story. I got thrown in the hospital, and the man who threw me in the hospital took my car and crashed it, while also simultaneously telling me I can't do what I love to do.
Yeah. You lived
like what? No, he is an evil villain.
Honestly, bro. He should have turned you into a villain. Thank God you didn't.
That's what I'm saying. I should have gone full Joker, bro.
Yeah, you had a Joker face, but you got the tattoo on your arm. But thank God you didn't go after anyone. Nah, that guy was. Anyways, crazy. That stuff is insane. I mean, before we move on, obviously you being in the hospital without a phone for a week after all of that, like, I'm sure you came out of that with some lessons learned about yourself first and foremost, but like people around you too. Like, do you remember? Did you have did that shift the way you viewed? I mean, it must have in some capacity changed the way you looked at all the things around you. But like, I'm not sure what happened immediately after that or what the next couple months were like. But
I mean, it definitely like had an effect on me. I don't think I fully like processed how much though until a lot later on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I tend to do that like with situations like that. It's like, okay, this happened and it's like, it's whatever. It's not really a big deal. And then I think about it like as time goes by and I'm like, wow, like that was crazy. It definitely like changed my view on a lot of things and affected me in a way. And also I was really young. I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old and like overdosed and got thrown in a hospital and then like got out of the hospital and got robbed like 5 times.
Yeah, I was gonna get
And then
to
I got
that.
sued.
Hey,
and
hold
then I
on,
cracked
hold
my
on.
head open.
We're gonna get to that.
Yo,
That's what's
that was so bad.
that's what's insane. The story like didn't even start with that year for you.
That was quarter one.
Yeah, that was.
We're in the first quarter, bro.
There's a lot more that happened right after this,
Bro.
which is insane. I look back, I'm like, dude, that was in my whole point of wanting to kind of quote unquote rehash all of this is like, now we see you on Twitch, one of the bigger streamers on Twitch, and like we were speaking about, right? You're just in a great place now. I think it's like one of the most impressive things to watch because there are so many moments where like, dude, like I don't know, I'm actually curious, like what were you doing in these moments? But you had this experience which was absolutely insane. I'm sure it changed the way you viewed things. I think just really quick, just to close up on this part, whatever it was, maybe you had some sort of like, I don't want to say addiction. I don't know if that's.
I was definitely addicted.
Okay,
I was for sure addicted.
Because I know
drugs.
Okay, so for people that are maybe dealing with some form of addiction, I know you obviously last year too. You did a 7-day stream where you quit nicotine, right? So you were addicted for sure to that.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, I'm
That
sure.
more than
Unfortunately,
anything.
a lot of people watching this are probably vaping, which is a horrible habit.
So
Hitting the vape, or I don't think people use Juuls anymore. That's like 2016, huh? But like whatever it is, all these e-cigs and vapes, a lot of people are getting addicted very young to this, unfortunately. So for someone that overcame 2 addictions, I guess, right, you could say, one of maybe I don't know what was harder, whether it was the pills or whether it was the nicotine, but like what kind of advice can you give people that are in a similar position? And by the way, a lot of people maybe don't even think they have some sort of addiction. I feel like that's probably the case a lot of
Yeah,
them.
a lot of people like have that lie they tell themselves where it's like, oh, if I wanted to, I could stop. If I wanted to, I could quit. Even with vaping, I was like, oh, I don't own a vape. I just hit like the homies when they're around.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's more extreme cases with more extreme addictions. But I mean, what I would tell somebody, like if you don't realize you have a problem and you don't think it's a problem and you're justifying it in your head, you're not going to stop until something extreme happens, like you have a seizure or you almost die or something like that, until you're just like, wow, this is real. You know what I mean? So I mean, you have to realize that it's a problem and you can't live your life like that forever. The way that ends is not good.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. And then I don't know, 2, I would say like being open with it, like talking to people, like holding yourself accountable too. Like what helped me with the nicotine one, the other one I really didn't have a choice. I got thrown, like I told you, I literally just got like thrown into a hospital and was like, okay. And you go about it that way. But with the nicotine, like I went public and made a documentary and researched deeply into how like bad it is for your health and all the ramifications to inhaling those carcinogenic chemicals and like smoking that as frequently as I would. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold myself accountable and stream for the next 7 days. So if I do vape, if I do ever get caught smoking again and hit anything, nicotine, a cigarette, whatever, I'm gonna look like a straight fraud.
Yeah.
Like
our friend, our CEO.
yeah, like I'm sitting here, I'm screaming, this is horrible. Like I'm
Yeah.
interviewing victims. I'm going to the doctor and like breathing, like doing lung x-rays. And I'm like, now I'm going to stream for 7 days. Like I just got to get through the 7 days. So I think accountability is a big thing. That obviously helped me. The fact that I completely burnt the bridge and was like, I have to now. I have no choice or I'm going to look like a fraud.
You kind of put everything on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank God, by the way, I look back and like, that's like the best decision I've made. One of the best decisions I've ever made, quitting nicotine, because it sparked
Streaming career.
streaming for
Yeah.
me. Accidentally, I didn't draw it up like that. That's not how it was drawn up.
No, you were gonna be done after that.
Yeah.
It was just like you can't do a 7-day YouTube video, so you're like, I'm gonna do it live.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully you quit that. You quit that, which is I'm more happy about.
So
that
happy.
you guys are, you're done. Hopefully, and hopefully a lot of people follow you.
No, not hopefully. I am.
No. I'm saying, yeah, sorry. I know you're done. Thank God you're done. And hopefully a lot more people follow it and kick that habit, because I think a lot of people just picked it up and not think it's a big deal, but it is a big deal, man. It's not a good thing to be.
Bro, for real, you don't have
You-
freedom.
You interviewed someone, right, that like had his lung like popped or something crazy.
His lung popped, his lung collapsed. Like he got
collapsed.
checked out. Like the doctors said he had a cardio. Like if they looked at his cardiovascular system and they said you have the cardiovascular system of a 70, 80-year-old man.
And how old is he?
And he was like 18. He like speed ran his cardiovascular system and he was insanely unhealthy and like on a fast track
So
for
crazy.
nothing good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like recently, like I was out on Saturday with some friends. I was driving to like this thing, and like one of them was vaping, but like everyone else in the car vaped, and like I'm hearing them, they're all like, "Yo, like you got it?" Like, no, I give it back to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, are you sure this one's dead?" They're like, "Oh, we need to stop." I'm like sitting here listening to this conversation. I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like y'all don't really realize how much of a grip this had. Like,
Yeah.
like it's very serious, and
Yeah.
like I don't want to like harp on it and act like, oh, like you know what I mean? Because
It's because you kicked it. That's why you can see it now.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm in the car and I'm driving. I'm like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
like here's the vape. I'm seeing all three hands in the back seat reach for it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah,
And then it's like, we're on the way home. Oh, it's dead. We got to stop and grab one. I'm like, are y'all like, yes. So, yeah, it's bad, bro.
yeah. So accountability and just kind of having to want to quit it.
Yeah. And having people around you
That
to
motivate.
hold you
Yeah.
accountable too.